Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It is going to be so much fun. We've got Ronnie Rice here. Ronnie is one of the lead attorneys at Alexander Shannara, and attorneys is one of those terms that is very loose in this situation because he does so many other things. So join us today and watch this with us. You're from Mobile. Give me an idea. Give me a little bit of background about you growing up, what life was like, where you're from, all those different types of things.
Oh man. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, man. I pay respect to you and everything that you do for just the general community. A little bit about me, from Pritchard, Alabama, which is in Mobile.
Right.
One of 5 kids. My older brother served a life sentence in prison for murder. My younger sister's West Point graduate. Serving.
Awesome.
She's actually serving overseas now. My other brother's serving overseas as well, and my other brother's in Oklahoma City Navy.
So 3 of the 5 kids are military.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, no doubt. Skip that one. But all the 3 kids, the 3 ones are the ones that are younger than you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Gotcha.
sir.
Okay.
Single parent household. My dad was in my life, just
Okay.
intermittently.
Right.
Rough childhood, all the drugs, shooting.
Yeah.
Most of my friends, I'll say 80% of my friends I grew up with are either dead, jail, strung out on drugs.
Wow.
It's very, very hard to see when you go back home.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of a little bit about me.
So Pritchard.
Yes, sir.
So when I think of Pritchard, I think of Viger.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Birmingham guy, and Viger's always great at football.
Oh, yeah.
Because you always remember seeing that. So
Oh,
did you go to Viger?
No, man.
Okay.
I wanted to so bad, man. I had posters of wolves. That's their mascot, right?
Yes.
And
you grew up seeing it.
right. And then my mom, after obviously seeing with my brother, because my older brother graduated from Viger, and she was like, "No, we're gonna make sure you take a different path."
Make sure we're not going down that road.
So I went to my junior high school was KJ Clark at the time. It's changed now. It's something else. I forgot what it's called. And it was a mixed diversity crowd.
Right.
And Florida, it was predominantly black, but it was a magnet program. So that's the school I went to, John O. LaFleur High School, Rattlers.
So you went to LaFleur to the magnet program at LaFleur. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what from there? Sport. So sports. What you?
Man, so I thought I was gonna be a football player, man.
Okay.
So I thought I was gonna had this good physique
it.
like you, and I had this athletic ability, right? Man, I played my freshman year with Coach Wilson, and man, I saw the defensive line, Gino. Man, he made this great hit, and man, he came back. Man, his middle finger was turned the opposite way. I was like, Coach, I
think I'm gonna go run track.
I think I'm gonna go run.
Yeah.
So I did track and I did cross country in high school.
So from high school, where did it? So you didn't go to the military. So what was the next step?
Man, my parents would co-sign my military. So what I did is I got accepted to Morehouse College. I actually did a summer program before that. It was what is called Upward Bound program. It's a program out of Department of Education from the federal government. Did that while I was in high school and fell in love with Morehouse, which is an all-male school. All the greats went there. Dr. Martin Luther King.
Oh, it's all male school.
Yeah, all black male, man, all African American male.
Really?
That's what Samuel Jackson, Dr. Martin Luther King, Spike Lee, all the greats, man.
Let's go
Come
back
on.
to this. You went to an all-male college?
Man, the Lord knew what he was doing, man. the Lord had a hand in my life.
I'm 30, be 39 next week. I had no idea
Yeah.
that it was an all-male school.
All-male school. Now, here's the caveat. It's all female school across the street, Spelman College.
Actually, okay.
Yeah,
All right, so it balances out.
Yeah.
All right, so you're at Morehouse. What are you doing at Morehouse?
Man, so I've always had 2 or 3 jobs. I've always been like that. So my major is psychology. Well, I first initially went as engineering. And one thing we was talking about earlier about retooling. We didn't say retooling, but each one of us telling about our life stories. And basically, essentially went down to retooling. Man, I was doing engineering because I wanted to make money. That's what you did, right?
Yep.
Man, I took physics 154 from Dr. Smith, and man, he lit me up on grad. I'm like, yeah, I need to change something different.
Right.
So I changed my major to psychology, but I pretty much worked 3 jobs, had a couple of businesses.
What did you do?
So I work study at the school.
Okay.
Worked at Dillard's, and I did grant work for Morehouse School of Medicine. So the work
Grant
study.
work. What is grant work?
So we have nonprofits. They need grant funding and stuff like that. So
you would do the writing of the grants and things like that.
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
sir.
Okay. So you're doing grant work. You're working at Dillard's and you're doing work study. So you're not sleeping a whole lot.
Man, no.
Okay.
Man.
And you're still going for a psychology degree.
Man, yes.
Okay. So you talked about a little bit about businesses. You had some businesses in college?
Yeah. So I did some marketing businesses. Passing out flyers and stuff like that. That was the biggest thing. So
So what year is this?
So I started Morehouse in 2003. I was supposed to graduate in 2007, graduated in 2008.
So when you say marketing, you're not talking about like Facebook and Instagram.
No, I'm talking about street beating, like
guerrilla marketing.
Right. So this is when all the rappers out, right?
Street beating.
Right. So Morehouse. So what a lot of people don't understand, and Morehouse, Spelman, and Clark Atlanta is called with the AUC, the Atlanta University Center. So if any artist wanted to become big, they would literally come out to the University Center and perform there.
Okay.
And say pass out their flyers. So all the T.I.s, the Young Jeezys, all the, and for folks who might not know, these are like popular rap artists.
Well, they're huge now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
back in 2003, they were dudes.
Yeah. Right.
But now they're, I mean, multimillionaires that own multiple businesses.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you see these guys just walking on campus, man. Just
Right.
and you're like, hey, what's going on? Neo, R&B artists, just different guys.
Right.
I mean, so Puff Daddy. I mean, all these guys was just walking on campus.
So you're in college. You graduate with a psychology degree, which I have a history degree, so psychology and history is
Pretty much.
degree of nothing.
Degree of nothing.
Okay.
Might have been basketball.
Yeah, exactly. So what did you do from there?
So what I did, I majored in psychology. Actually, my mentor, my godfather, actually, Dr. Adolph Brown III, he's a psychologist, and I was following his path. Thought I would want to do psychology, and started doing some coaching sessions, and realized I did not like psychology.
Gotcha.
So I majored in, got my master's in organizational leadership. So
Okay.
I still like the aspect of helping people, but I like from a global perspective, so from an organizational standpoint. So I went to Regent University in Virginia Beach, got my master's.
So did you move to Virginia Beach?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're Mobile, Atlanta, now you're in Virginia Beach.
Virginia
Regent
Beach.
University, okay.
Yes, and then I got my PhD at Regent University in human resource development.
PhDs are hard. Like, I've got a master's. Master's is easier than an undergrad.
Right.
It's just because you want to be there, or at least you think you want to be there. And then, so master's is not that hard.
Yeah.
A PhD is a different animal.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So why are you in this, because here's what people do. So people really don't know what they want to do.
Right.
They go get a master's. And they still can't figure out what they want to do. They go get a PhD. So they're a lifetime student.
Right,
and they're not a doctor.
Right, yeah.
Why a PhD?
So I've always had just a passion to do a doctorate. So one thing I failed to mention while I was at Morehouse, I became a McNair scholar. Ronnie McNair program. Okay. That's the first black African American astronaut, and when he died and all that stuff, he created this fund for McNair for disadvantaged or at risk or what do you want to call it? Yeah. Youth who want to get doctorates. You get funding undergrad through your graduate school. Okay. So I'm a McNair scholar. So
let me say. So here's what I'm figuring out. So are you taking on this? I'm kind of switching gears, but I'm not. Are you taking on lots of debt to do this? Are you getting grants? Are you just like working 3 jobs and paying for it yourself? I mean, what's going on here?
All 3, man. I still paying out student loans, and everybody in this room that's touching agree that I'll pay them off soon.
Amen. We agree. Yes.
I got grants, got scholarships, and work.
And you're working.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're any means possible, you're getting it done.
Oh yeah.
So you're getting your PhD. So what then?
So what I did then is I met a young lady at the time and decided to move back to Alabama. Okay. So I started did some research at University of South Alabama on, forgive me if I bore you with this, the continuity of health in the aftermath of a disaster.
Continuity of health in the aftermath of the disaster.
Yes. So it was a study done after Katrina. So what happened? Okay. So long story short, what happened is when Katrina hit, a lot of people who needed medical care couldn't get it because they either didn't have their medical records, right. They didn't. Electronic files were destroyed because the database was in New Orleans. It was electronic, but it was in New Orleans.
Gotcha.
So when they got dispersed to all these places, so people need diabetic medicine, HIV, AIDS, who knows? They said, yeah, I got this. This is my last prescription. They're like, yeah, but. So you had folks that get re-diagnosed. I mean, it was just total. Wow. So what happened is what we found out in the study. This is kind of reason why I do what I do now is what we found in that study was that people who were heavily networked outside their system, and what I mean by that, folks who were heavily networked outside of New Orleans or who can call a family or friend.
So if I lived in New Orleans, but I had a network in Birmingham or a network in Atlanta.
Right. I was better off. My transition from Katrina was. It was like I never missed a beat.
Well, a great example of that is I was coaching in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And when Katrina hit, we got a huge influx of kids from New Orleans.
Yep.
And it made a gigantic difference in a handful of football teams in the Atlanta area because these kids were playing or active in New Orleans. They had a place to go.
Right.
And so they had an aunt or an uncle or a grandfather or whatever,
Right.
or a godfather or a friend.
I mean,
Anybody
Right.
with a pulse. So we had multiple kids that were New Orleans kids that were just game changers as far as athletic ability and
Right.
just and also adding more bodies to the system.
Right.
But what you're saying is, so if you had an outside network, you had a higher chance of, I say
Right.
survival, but what's
right.
a better term?
Of success.
Success, okay, good.
Right, in whatever it is that you're doing. And so, one thing that I find in my line of work, because what I do is pretty much relationship building.
Okay.
And so I pretty much make my living on not operating outside the box. I mean,
Right.
definitely doing everything in my wheelhouse,
For sure.
servicing clients and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you might find me at a rugby game. You might find me at the White House. You might find me in another country somewhere.
Right.
But I've realized that a lot of my success has been due to just reaching out to folks or just putting myself in rooms, just presence, right? They say success is mostly just being present.
Absolutely.
And just establishing a genuine relationship, not wanting anything, just like, hey, just want to see what you got going on, how you
Right.
doing, what do you do, how can I help? And I mean, I've grown leaps and bounds.
In that job though, Ronnie, you cannot be, I hate this term, but you can't be a fangirl. You can't be obsessed with so and so or enamored by someone's either
Right.
money or fame or whatever.
Well, I was enamored by you. I mean, oh my God. Have you guys seen this guy in person? Goodness gracious.
Come on. All right, so you're in the Mobile area.
Yes.
You got a wife.
Yeah.
You got a wife. Doing some research. Now go from there.
Moved up to Birmingham, so I got
Okay.
a friend of mine, Ricardo Woods. He's a city attorney in Mobile, and he calls me. I love stories. So I'm sitting in this office, I'm overlooking the water and everything like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing great, whatever.
Yeah.
Ricardo Woods calls me. He just got back in from Miami somewhere, trying the case, and he tells me what he sells it for. It's a big number. I'm like, yeah, whatever, but your partner's getting that.
Right.
He's like, oh no, let me tell you what my percentage is. He's like, oh yeah, I'm going to law school.
Come on.
It's like,
Okay.
I feel like the Lord calling me to go to law.
calling me. Yes, Lord, I follow. Yeah.
Right.
I gotcha.
But it really was. I tell that story, but honestly, it was God, telling me to do that because I always felt, and I don't mind sharing, being a young African American, obviously you see all the shootings and you see all the things that happen with young black males. I always felt like it was a duty of mine to get a law degree. And I got a lot of people try to talk me out of doing it.
Why?
Well, a lot of people say there's no money in law. I know a lot of people got loans, student debt, stuff like
Right, for
that.
sure.
You'll never make money, yada
Right.
yada yada. So.
Gotcha. So you moved back to Birmingham. So he said, so this guy talks to you to move back to Birmingham. Did he say come to go to law school? What was the conversation like?
So it wasn't a conversation somebody told me to do it. It's just, I had a few friends, older guys, who said, you need to go to law school. I know you got your PhD, but you.
Wow.
And they just saw a gift in me.
Yeah.
That it was like, I was like, nah, bro, I already got a PhD, man. What are you talking about? He's like, no, trust me, you need to go get your law license.
Wow.
And obviously I already had student loan debt, and so I was like, well, where do I want to go? Obviously like the Harvard, all the big wigs, right?
Right.
And he was like, man, don't do that. It's 2 schools in Birmingham School of Law or Miles Law School. So I went to Birmingham, I toured both schools. Well, I actually toured Cumberland as well. I toured all those schools, and I just fell in love with Miles Law School, which is in Fairfield.
Yes.
A whole bunch of potholes.
That's it.
But I love it, man.
Right.
Man, Miles has done, the professors there I met, Justice Cook, Judge Clemens, federal judge in Alabama, Judge Clemens, Judge Pearson, who God rest his soul.
Right.
They just really poured into my life
great.
and just say, hey, we need you to be just a pallbearer or just a torch runner for helping people just in general.
Right.
Not a white, black, old, young, rich, poor, just help people. And that's one thing that I saw in Birmingham for some reason.
That's awesome. So your guys up here. Now, who did your guy that flown back to Miami? Ricardo.
Ricardo
Okay.
Woods.
So what's he doing up here?
Oh, well, no, he's not up here. He's in Mobile.
So he's in Mobile. So who is your guy that kind of got you into the Birmingham scene? He said go to law school, but who's your contact in Birmingham?
Didn't have a contact.
Okay.
So my only contact in Birmingham was a high school friend. That was it. The guys who encouraged me to come to law school was Steve Moore.
Okay.
He has his own practice. Carlos Finley, he has his own practice down in Mobile.
Okay.
Carlos actually finished from Miles Law School. And Steve Moore, he graduated from Alabama. All of them probably been practicing got to be 15, 20 years more than me, obviously. And they were like, they're the ones that encouraged me to go to law school.
So you're in law school in Birmingham. So what are you doing? So what are you doing during law school?
Man, so I was still married at the time. Was trying to apply for jobs, trying to find, something to fill my niche, right? So, which is weird and kind of difficult at the same time.
Right.
So I got all this education, got all this experience.
Yeah.
Because I did international consulting with different Fortune 100 companies, hospitals, things of that sort, and trying to, find a job that's going to like teach me the law as well as, make enough money to feed my family.
Right.
And I can tell you, and my ex-wife would tell you, man, I had trouble trying to find a job, man. And I finally...
So let me make sure I understand this correctly. You've got
3 degrees at the time.
3 degrees, an undergrad, a master's, and a PhD.
Yes.
You've got experience with people all over the country, probably all over the world, and then now you're in law school and you can't find a job.
Yeah, and my ex-wife would tell you, I used to have legal pads that were, legal pads where I would apply for probably 10 jobs a day. And I was doing 10 jobs a day to be strategic, make sure I write a nice cover letter, make sure I write a nice resume, make sure I, hi, such and such.
Right.
I see that you went to this school and this your program research and all that stuff. So couldn't find a job. And a friend of mine's hired me, it paid me like $8.50 an hour, part-time. And then I worked at another company, Alabama Family Trust, which is a great institution. And then I finally landed with Alexander Shinar.
So how did that come about? Because you're in law school, and why would Alex hire?
So it's funny. I was texting him this morning, and he's always shooting me morning motivation, which one of the reasons why I love him. The relationship between him and I is very, very different. And I try a great deal to try to protect it.
Right.
So I had a friend of mine, Ron Brown. His name is Walter Ron Brown. If he's watching this, he's gonna be like, "You don't get about my government." Yeah. At that time, Ron was going to law school with me at Miles, and he would always talk about Alex. Hey, Alex is great. And I was like, okay, cool. Man, I would like to meet him because you always interview. I was like, no, I'm good.
Well, if you've been on an interstate in the southeastern United States, you've seen the guy's picture.
Yeah, but with me, I've been around some of the successful people. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, no more guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? You keep talking about, let's go meet him. Met him. I was like, you know what? He seems like a cool guy. I was like, man, I would like you to know what you guys do. So Ron, he let me shadow him for 2 days.
So Ron's working for Alex, but he's still in law school. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we're both same year, graduated the same year.
So what's he doing for Alex?
So now he's no longer with the firm. He's kind of doing his independent thing now.
Right. But at the time, what was he doing?
Just a legal assistant.
Okay, so he's a legal assistant. Y'all both in law school. He's a legal assistant. He says, hey, come just shadow me.
Right. And so I'm like, cool. So I get there Monday morning, 8 o'clock. I think it's August 12th. I think that was the day. And I start, I'm scanning stuff, making random calls, blah, 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 taking lunch 12 to 1.
So you got a job?
Right. Well, no, this is volunteer.
So you're...
No, I'm not getting paid for this.
So you're working for free?
I'm working for free.
Okay.
I'm working for $0.
No money, and I got a wife.
Right, and a daughter.
Who likes stuff, and I got a kid.
Right.
Okay.
House note, cars, two cars at that.
All right, so you're working at the Alexander Shinar Law Firm for free while you're in law school.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's like, hey, I saw my long-term vision was, I'm gain all the resources and just the knowledge and experience to go open up my own.
So your kind of end game goal is go have your own law firm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my end goal. And so first day, still working. First day, at the end of the first day, Alice is like, sitting in the lobby. Hey, what's your name again? I was like, it's Ronnie, blah, blah, blah. He's like, what are you doing here? I said, I told you I'm going to be working with Ron. He's like, okay, cool. All right. We'll see you later. Next day, come in, do the same thing over again. At the end of the second day, he's like, you still here? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, man, anybody who comes in here with free, I just got to hire him, just off the strength. So he just hires me, man, and I become a legal assistant to Ross Massey. He's in Georgia now. He helps run our Georgia office now. Ross is amazing. I mean, humble, down to earth. He walks around the office sometimes. I mean, on the weekends and at night with no shoes on. I mean, he's cool. Yeah. Like he's like the Flower Woodstock guy, right? But smart, like super smart. And me and him, we got a relationship to this day. That's how it all started.
So you started working as a legal assistant there as you're in law school. So when you graduated from law school, what kind of did you just So you're legal assistant. What are you doing? Like, do you
Man.
moving up the ladder? I mean, what's going on there?
So at the firm is very horizontal. I mean flat. And what I mean by that, flat organization, you got legal assistants, paralegals, attorneys, and it's Alex. That's the beauty of it. So there's no hierarchy. You know, you're either a legal assistant or attorney. It's just one or two things.
Right.
And so it's more of my role with the firm just grew as my relationship with Alex grew.
Okay.
And so my relationship with Alex was just more so, I see how stressed out he was and all the stuff that he was trying to do, that he needed to do. And I was just like, man, what you need help with? I mean, even if it was getting a sandwich or a Coke or, flying somewhere, driving somewhere, taking care of a situation at the farm or something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, because of all my experience and expertise, I mean, it just kind of is just second nature to me.
So honestly, what you're doing is you're serving him, making sure that you make his life easier so that the whole company can grow.
I mean, that's the most simplest way. I know I'm being redundant when I say most simplest, but the simplest way of putting it.
Okay, so you get your law degree, now what?
Get my law degree, I take the bar, failed it the first time, by the way.
Which is pretty common, I hear.
Man, I didn't want to be common for me.
But what I'm saying, over the broad spectrum of like people taking the bar, people failing the bar the first time is not crazy.
So we just got the results back for the February bar. By the way, you gotta wait 2 months for the bar results. Yeah. So tell me, you think your life is like in a whirlwind? You don't know to start or just stay where you at. So I did barbering, which is a bar prep course, $3,000. Which obviously I didn't have the money, but I had to put the money in there.
Right.
Did 95% of the course, failed it. I mean, just oh my God, just ripped my heart out. I'm crying. I don't know what to do. Going through a whole bunch of personal stuff at the time, and then that's when this is one of many times the guy, I just see the love of God comes in. Alex calls me. Alex's dad calls me. Uncle Freddie is like, son, don't worry about it. You'll get it. Right. You'll get it. I'm like, man, I want to hear all this. I want to know how I can get better. And so I had to deal with this I got this PhD and failed the bar, right? Because it's an oxymoron. It's like it's contrary. And I feel like God did that for a reason. And I read this quote early this week that says, God will take you through something just to see who your true friends are.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, because it's always good to ride with somebody when everything's good, right? Yeah. They got a nice Benz or BMW. You get you going on fancy trips. Everybody likes you. Everybody wants to email. Everybody wants pictures with you. But who's with you when you don't have all that stuff?
Right.
Even if they know that you're capable of having it, you
don't.
And you don't have it, it's like, whoa, I helped. Right. And then I helped you out, helped you out, helped you out, helped you out.
Right.
So the next time I take it, man, I started. With the help, I hired a coach, and with the help of this coach, man, he just helped break down some psychological issues that I was having, and I passed it with flying colors. So
this brings up a good point, and this is what I think is so huge with people out there. No matter if they own their own business or they're working with somebody, or they're from an insurance agent to a lawyer to a doctor to a teacher, whatever. I've done it before in my business. You hired somebody that knew more about it than you did, and you got them to help you to make you better.
Oh, absolutely.
It's paramount, in my opinion, to make sure that we are the best we can be at what we're doing, whether it's being a pastor or whatever. And so I love the fact that you spent the money, hired somebody, and he made you better, and so in turn you passed this bar. Yeah,
and see, that's the whole key to it all is, I can't be knowledgeable about everything. No, I just can't. I got all these degrees. I can speak quantum physics to you if you want me to.
Right.
I can quote all kind of stuff to you, but I've learned that I can't be a specialist in everything.
Right.
Like one thing I didn't tell you, when I was doing my PhD program, I had a dissertation chair that I was working on for years on the program research, and he ended up moving to another school.
Wow.
And so I had to get another dissertation chair, and my new dissertation chair read my proposal and told me, I can't work with you. For me to work with you, you got to delete and start over.
Oh my stars! And dissertations are what? How long do they take? A year?
Man, it takes you however long it takes you.
Right.
You got to finish your PhD program in 7 years, and that's nationwide. Otherwise, you have to start over with coursework and everything.
Right.
So you got to tell me, I had this beautiful MacBook Pro that you got, and I got all the new technology, and I just started crying at my desk.
Wow.
I'm just crying. I'm just like, hey, because I've been to Oxford University in London. I've been to Bermuda. I've been to Canada. I've been in all these places doing research and doing all these talks and things of that sort. And to hear that your program research you can't focus on that because you have different dissertation share. And it wasn't that he was being mean or a jerk about it. It was just saying that, hey, I don't know enough about this
to judge it,
right,
to grade it.
But
makes sense.
But once I got over myself, and T.D. Jakes talks about hitting this breaking point. Your success determines how you respond to a breaking point.
Right. And
breaking points are all the key factors: marriage, having kids, death, divorce, business going under, starting a new business. The reason why a lot of people like you are successful is because what did you do when one door closed on you? And that was a pivotal door. Oh, yeah.
Now,
it's not like just I just didn't get that client. I'm talking about this is like your main funding source closes and slams the door in your face. And you say, well, what do I do now?
Right.
And so that's one of the times to God, I feel like God just kind of showed himself.
So you passed the bar after you got the help.
Mm-hmm.
You're a lawyer now working for Alexander Shannara. So what role is he? I mean, are you trying cases or what's going on? What's your role there?
So my role is business development, government affairs, special projects.
So you're not judge so and so and so and so. You're not in the courtroom trying for.
No.
Okay.
No. So now if I have to go to a courtroom, I mean I can do it. I did trial team and stuff like that. But my gift is and it's proven itself time and time again. It's relationships.
Right. So we've talked about a lot doing these interviews and talking. There's so much power in the people that you know, and the whole line of it's not what you know, it's who you know is unbelievably true. But it's also, we talked about earlier, if you help enough people get what they want, you will have more than enough for yourself.
Right.
Tell me about like you talk about business development, relationship. Give me a snippet of what that looks like. You don't have to name drop or anything like that, but just give me a snippet of what that looks like on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis for you.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Man, if sometimes I do a Facebook Live just to show people what I do. One day, like 1 week, I was meeting with the president of Miles College.
Okay.
Dr. George French, good guy, love him to death. He's doing a capital campaign that he needs help with. So obviously I know a lot of people that can help him with that. Norm Davis, who's a huge art collector, he has over $1 million worth of art. Him and his wife, Cornetta Davis, are big influencers. So I was in the room with Norm, and we were talking about how to build a campaign to help them, but also us as a law firm representing them on that kind of stuff. So another one is, working with different municipalities on just being general counsel or counsel of record, or working with different businesses as counsel on record. So as you can imagine, these types of work is not something that you go in and say, hey, here's my business card, hire me. It's about obviously having what you know. You have to be knowledgeable. You have to have the education experience, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to be like, hey, such told me to call you. You want to do breakfast? How can I help you?
Right.
And that's kind of how I've really established most of my relationship. How can I help you? How can I serve you?
Yeah.
Because most of the time, when somebody's buying something from you, you're actually helping with something.
Absolutely.
I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a piece of clothing. I don't care if it's food. I don't care if it's cars. People need transportation. Right. People need certain type of food to eat. Certain people need certain type of clothes to wear. Right. They either make them feel some kind of way when they wear a certain piece of clothing, or it fits them better, or whatever. So
I heard someone say the other day. He said I'm not a salesman. He says I help people buy.
Right.
And if you truly have a servant's heart, and you want to, like you said, help people get what they want, I will never charge someone or overcharge someone and try to get them something that they don't need.
Right.
It's like a lady asked the other day, she asked about wanting this and wanting this, wanting this. I'm like, hey, do we really need to do this?
Right.
Obviously, it brought her price down a bunch. I could have benefited from that, but I don't want to put someone in a position that either they can't afford or something that they don't need because it's not worth it.
Yeah, and here's the thing, it backfires on you, right?
Absolutely.
So it's been plenty of times I had one time I had like 5 gym memberships, and of course they just doing it on my draft. I'm like, nobody called me from the gym and said, hey, you know what, you're not using this. Let me just.
Right.
And I probably would have just kept the membership if they off that. But it's just one thing I'm big on is customer service, like the experience. have my lines of communication open, which I'm trying to do a better job of it. I mean, I'm sleeping like 4 hours a day now at this point. So that's a big thing, and that's one thing that I like about you. And BJ Ellis, who's a good friend of mine, I mean, he speaks highly of you, and I like the way that you move. I like how you just have a servant's heart. I mean, you're very transparent. I mean, you're not gonna tell everybody your business, but at the same time, you're gonna, hey, this is what I want to do. Can we do it? Yes or no? If you can't, all right.
No big
you
deal.
can.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Good. All right, so 5 questions. I always ask these 5 questions. I want to make sure.
Oh, God.
I didn't know, so make sure that everybody knows I did not tell you these 5 questions.
So, Lord, forgive me for these responses now. I'm telling you, somebody hit me with questions now.
So you don't have these questions. So these are simple questions, and the biggest thing we want to hear is transparency, number 1, and also just honesty. I want to get as little calculated answers as possible.
Okay.
And these are not hard questions. These are questions about your life. Okay, so one of the things I'm big into is morning routine. What does your morning routine look like?
Oh, man, that's interesting. My morning routine ebbs and flows.
Okay.
I'm a very emotional person. I'm big on energy. So I'm going to tell you, I'll be transparent with you. 2018, 2019 has been a trying year for me on so many different levels. Just new, law, personal, business. It's just been trying. But my typical morning routine is I get up around I used to go to sleep by 8 or 9, just naturally, and wake up at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock.
So you go to sleep at 8 or 9 o'clock at night?
Yeah, and I woke up, folks have text messages and emails from me at around about 3 o'clock this morning.
So you get up at 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. If my wife would let me, I'd go to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock every night.
Right, yeah.
She likes TV.
Yeah, right.
And so we watch TV.
So, see, that's probably the reason why I got divorced. that right there, because oh my God, if my ex-wife sees this, she's gonna be like, this dude is a jerk.
So here's the thing though, your only difference is your hours are flipped a little bit. Whether you go to bed at, so I'm a 9:30, 10 o'clock guy, but I mean, some mornings it's 3, some mornings it's 4 for me. So you're 8 or 9 to 2 o'clock. So is it a clock? I mean,
there's no alarm clock.
That's crazy.
I don't believe in alarm clocks. I believe in, I think it's Thomas Edison, I think. His wife said that he literally he'd go into his lab or whatever and just work. And then he'd get tired, he'd go to sleep. And he might sleep for 2 or 3 hours and get back up and just do the day. He's just doing him, not on any type of schedule.
So when you get up at 2 or 3 in the morning, what's the flow from there?
So I like,
because everybody else is not up until 6 or 7 o'clock.
Right, and I love it because my phone rings constantly. I got 2 phones, and I guarantee Corey has my phone, and he'll probably tell you it's probably going off right now. So it's motivational videos, Bible. I like to encourage people. I like to send encouraging text messages to my friends and thank people for the things they did for me yesterday.
Right, good.
So I don't care if it's you probably get a text from me tomorrow about, hey, seriously, thank you for what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Because I think that's a lost art.
Absolutely.
The thank yous is just, people don't have to do anything for you. I don't care if they get paid for doing what they did for you.
For sure.
The city clerk can, they can stamp your complaint, but it's a way that how fast it get processed and when the judge sees it.
Exactly.
So morning routine, motivational videos, scripture, probably talk to one of my loved ones, try to talk to my daughter, something like that.
So that's great. That's awesome. What does a day of eating look like?
So I'm vegan. So anybody wants to know what vegan is, there's no animal products, no dairy, no milk, no cheese, no butter.
Okay.
Fish is not, is a meat. It's vegan. Yes, I can't eat that, okay?
Is. So it's anything that has a face and a soul.
Yeah, right, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were eating breakfast this morning, and I had no idea you were vegan.
I'm so sorry.
So that's no big deal. That's no big deal.
I'm so sorry.
I think it's awesome. So you're vegan. Why vegan?
So
that's one of my favorite questions because you hear a myriad of answers when you ask someone, "Why are you vegan?" So why that?
So what happened for me was, once again, I've had so many psychological issues that I've had to just overcome. Not like mental illness or something like that, but just kind of like, God, why did you do this? You know, and why do you make these group of people suffer? And why is it, just. And so I've tried to find a way to just get a point of clarity and clear my mind, clear my spirit. And people, my friends will tell you, if I need time to myself, I'm shutting my phones off. And they'll get mad, will you ever respond to my text? I was like, yeah, I had to get a time to myself. So vegan for me was, I have so much going on in so many different ways.
Okay.
So it's not just like if you walk into, I don't know, Krispy Kreme donuts and all you're doing that day is just flipping the donuts and putting the icing on there.
Right.
It's just one day I might be in DC, that night I might be in Florida, and the next morning I might be in Colorado somewhere. And I have to be present. And so that for vegan is a way for to just clean my spirit, clean my body, and just be kind of a better way to be present. I like to be present. Wherever I am, I want to be present. If I'm talking to you, I want to be present. And I think vegan just helped me do it.
So you're saying that the food aspect helps you from a mental aspect?
Oh yeah, spiritually, mentally, everything.
That's good. What is your favorite book of all time? And you can't say the Bible. Don't say the Bible. Because everybody's like, oh, the Bible. It's a Sunday school answer.
Yeah.
What's your favorite book of all time?
Psalms chapter. I'm just saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
My favorite book. Oh gosh, you would do that to me. Man, that's a tough one. So if I just had goodness gracious, all right. Message to Garcia, okay? Message to Garcia, okay?
I would heard of it, so I need to know
it's an old book. It's probably 300 years old or something like that.
Wow.
So the general point of the book, it's a short book. You read it in 15, 30 minutes. Okay. Tops.
Yeah.
And it talks about how this military force had to get a message to a specific general on an island. Okay. And it was like, but they had no communication with him, didn't know where he was, didn't know any of the specifics of how to even get the message to him, which is Garcia. And this guy, this highfalutin, a colonel, something like that, said, you need to hire this particular soldier to do this. He said, just tell him what you need to do and he'll get it done. Right. And he got the message to Garcia. And it talks about how different people in your life, if some people are just doers to get it done. For sure. Like, I'm pretty, like you're a doer. I'm not saying just doer that you don't think. Right. But I can just say, hey, Thomas, can you install this a new TV, a bigger TV? Okay? Right. You can be like, I don't know anything about TV. Your head, you probably gonna say, I don't know anything about TV, but I know if Ronnie's asking me, he probably needs me to get it done. Right. So they're gonna call the company, get this done, and I'm gonna have it done within 24 hours. Right. Like you're not gonna ask any questions unless you're just gonna get it done. Correct. And you have other people that's like, well, what size TV you want? Yeah. I mean, how long do you want it? I mean, what's the reason for it? And you just like, just
I've empowered you.
Right, just do it. Right.
I got you.
So
that's awesome.
I would say that's my favorite book.
What are you reading right now?
Tribe of Mentors.
Tim Ferriss.
Yes. So I actually reading about 5 books at one time.
Yeah, for sure.
The Power of Crowds is another book I'm reading. I'm reading some books by Dr. Boyce Watkins. I read multiple books at one time. You come to my apartment, you see a lot of different books. That's good. The reason why I like that is because, have you read the book?
Tribe of Mentors?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you already know. I mean, just to get a different perspective of different leaders in the world.
Here's the thing that I like. So with multiple kids, things going on, business, life, wife, all these different types of things. For me, I like both of Tim's books, Tribe of Mentors and, what's the other one?
That's not the 4-hour work week, is it?
No, not 4-hour work week. It's the other one. The 2 big thick ones.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'll put it in I'll put it in notes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've read both of those. The reason I like those is because you can read for 8 to 15 minutes and put it down, and you don't have to have context from the story before. It's about what this guy did and the snippets of this guy's life that is so important that he's done. And this is part of the reason he's successful. And you get to pull. And here's the thing: the books are 400 pages long. They're gigantic. But they're easy to digest, easy to read, and it's also, my theory is, if I can read a book and I pull 1 or 2 things from the book that's practical and help me, it's absolutely worth it. And so what Tim's done is he does this in multiple things with people, and I think it's great. So last question. If you could talk to your 20-year-old self, what would you tell him to do more of?
Oh, gosh. Man, these are tough questions. You should sit these over. Man, guys, I'm telling you, don't ever come on this show like this dude right there.
I did not send them over.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. It's something that I'm dealing with right now. Don't take what people do to you, whether it's verbal or physical or professionally, whatever, to heart.
Gotcha.
And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of people that don't mean well for you, intentionally and unintentionally. You got some people that just don't want to see you succeed. You got people who unintentionally don't want you to succeed. They're trying to prevent you from succeeding. And whatever it is in aspect in the world you do. The problem with me is I'm a very passionate person, and I'm very giving up front. And when people hurt me, it's kind of like it's almost like you're falling back.
Right.
And something that I've been, struggling with is how do you decipher one, if it's like is it something they're trying to personally attack you with, or versus a criticism, and then still proceeding forward.
Gotcha.
And so my suggestion to my 21-year-old self is go for whatever God has called you to do.
Right.
But know that everybody's not gonna be for you, even the people that you might have helped. But even if they do attack you, don't seek revenge.
Yeah,
don't be spiteful, but protect yourself, be guarded, and keep moving forward. Because I'm telling you, one of the hardest things I ever had to do is cut people out of my life that I love dearly and that I really want to just genuinely succeed. And I mean, even those people that have hurt me, I still want to see them succeed. But I had to do it like inadvertently almost.
For sure.
And I mean, and that's something, especially I would tell college students, millennials,
right,
folks who are just coming out. I mean, it's not necessarily a cruel world. I mean, people can be evil.
Yeah, for sure.
But just don't let the haters get to you. Don't let them keep you down. And just guard yourself, guard your heart.
That's good. Good answers. All right, let's walk.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about your daughter.
Yeah.
Tell me about her. I mean, because when you have kids, your life totally changes. So tell me about your daughter.
So my daughter's Chloe Elizabeth. She's 6. She's awesome. She's a bundle of joy. I took her to the zoo yesterday, so that was interesting. I'm not going to talk about the field trip experience, but
I gotta go next week on a field trip.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, and my son's 7. I've got 3, but Tegan's 7. He's like, Dad, we go to the field trip with me on May 1st. I'm like, yes, son. Yeah. He's like, yes.
Right. You're like, oh my God.
What am I doing?
Right, like,
what am I getting myself into? Okay, so you got a daughter. We talked about working for Alexander Shinar and how fun that is. So you had mentioned earlier about other businesses. So that's intriguing to me about how you have a full-time job, and obviously it's a full-time job, but yet you do other things. What are some other things that you got your hands involved with that are outside of working for Alexander Shinar?
So real estate, logistics, security, marketing. Okay. So I do a lot of this I learned from Alexander Shinar. So Alex has taught me, and Uncle Freddie, actually, his dad taught me, you gotta have multiple streams of income.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then 2, because of my relationship with so many different people, what I've learned to do is, as I'm telling, I just give them business advice. It's like, you know what, man, can you just be a partner and help me out with this? Yeah. So that's kind of how I kind of got into a lot of the stuff that I've done.
Okay.
And so, because of my experience with Alex, and also obviously my educational background and my legal expertise, right, it just makes me a perfect fit. All right,
so one of the things you talked about with multiple streams of income, which I think is huge anyway. We've got things that we're doing too. But so everybody's seen Alex's picture all over everywhere. Mm-hmm. Call me Alabama. Hey, my 3-year-old. listen, my 3-year-old do it. Call me Alabama, my 3-year-old. That's right. And so it's hilarious. Okay. But anyway, so talk to me about, so I have multiple bosses. Some that I still talk to this day about just not so much professional advice, but just like, hey, what do you think about this? Yeah. Talk to me about your personal, because when you're with someone as many hours a day and then having as much interaction, talking about the business things, talk to me about your personal relationship with Alexander and what that looks like, how deep it is, if it's deep at all. Give me some context there.
So the relationship between Alex and I is very strong. And what I mean by that, it's just more so of a friendship than anything.
Right.
It's funny. A lot of people come around him and they're doing a whole bunch of talking, either trying to sell him something, trying to tell him something. I'm kind of just going there just like, hey, what you need? Yeah. And that's kind of just how our relationship has always been. Alex is a very loving, giving. He's actually a member of Church of Highlands. Right. His wife is awesome. He has 3 daughters. He's a family man. He has a true heart. He has a heart for people. I mean, his major was sociology and undergrad. And
another degree of nothing.
Right. And then basket weaving too.
That's it.
And so Alex has taught me so much. I used to be very, very jaded and like judgmental about people. And Alex was like, hey, son, it's okay. It's all right. You're like, but he took my shoes or something. Like he took my car or something, whatever it is. And so I learned so much from him, not in what he says, because he reads a lot as well, but more so in what he does and see how he's interact with people.
More of an actions, more of like, this is, person says A, B, or C, and they're also doing A, B, and C as well.
Absolutely. I try to, tell them, text them, and call them, and just remind them, because a lot of times when you have somebody's on billboards, commercials, and stuff like that, everybody's like, "Hey, can I borrow $1? Can I do this right here?" We actually get those requests. Right. But Alex, he'll take the time to respond to high schools, students who need soccer money. He went to University of Alabama, talked to the marketing department a couple weeks ago. He did something with Huntsville paper. He just has a certain heart.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Appreciate your time. Appreciate it so much. This has been a wonderful, wonderful episode. Ronnie Rice here. So many different things he does. So much wisdom in the things that he has given us today, from where he grew up, how he got there, and the path that he took is absolutely amazing. So make sure you check this out and share with all your friends. There's somebody out there that will be blessed because of hearing this. So thank you so much, guys.